Hello and welcome to Black Bear Atheist. Today we're gonna continue on our series with Frank Turek. I believe he did all these videos in one place, so I'm just gonna do it all together. I did the first two in my first video of Frank. I couldn't continue because I just wasn't feeling like it. I'm still have COVID, so you might still be hearing some sniffing in the background. Sorry about that. So we're just gonna start and we're gonna see where we can take this. There's 3 videos left. I hope I can finish it all today. Let's get it.
The fingerprints of the Creator are on the universe. What do I mean by that? Well, if you take a look at our...
No, they are not. But I'll let him explain whatever he means by that.
solar system, for example. Where are we? There we are right there, third rock from the sun, right? Third rock from the sun, there's Earth. Well, if we were just a little bit closer to, a little bit further away from the sun, we wouldn't be here.
You can't possibly know that because we can't actually test that. We don't know if life could possibly exist in another scenario because we don't have another universe to test that in.
If the axial tilt wasn't 23 degrees of this planet, we wouldn't be here. If the Earth rotation was not 24 hours, we wouldn't be here. The universe is precisely tweaked to support life on Earth. This is called the anthropic principle in science.
And I don't think it's precisely 24 hours. That's why we have a leap year. Is it me? I know I'm not a scientist, but I think that's why we have a leap year. That's why it's not precisely 24 hours. Anyways, we just keep going.
That the universe is so precise, just as it is, that if any one little thing were altered, man, anthropos, wouldn't exist.
We can't know that for sure.
If the gravitational force were altered by 1 part in 10 to the 40, we wouldn't be here. If the expansion rate of the universe slowed down by 1/millionth, 1/millionth more slowly than it is now, we wouldn't be here. If Jupiter wasn't in its current orbit, we wouldn't be here.
Except we're here, and we don't know what could have altered that.
See Jupiter? There it is, right there. Why? Because Jupiter acts as a cosmic vacuum cleaner. Its gravitational force is so great that it attracts all the cosmic space junk, all the meteors, to it rather than us.
Now, we shall look at more Frank Turek's video, but I hate when Christian. It is a strong word. Let me use dislike. I dislike when Christians use science when it supports their claim or they're trying to make a wacky point like Frank is trying to do here. And then when the same science and with the same skeptic tell them, well, it can't necessarily prove that Jesus rose from the dead with the Bible, they lose their shit and jump to fate. Even though Frank dissed fate in the last video that I did, is still relying on fate to be a Christian. Let's keep going.
In fact, if Jupiter didn't have one of its 63 moons, we might not be here. Take a close-up look at Jupiter. See Jupiter here? You see those purple marks on Jupiter? What are those purple marks? Those purple marks are comet fragment strikes that are bigger than the Earth. Thank God for Jupiter. Because without...
You're not funny. Stop trying to be funny. Oh my God. Thank the universe for Jupiter. Not God.
Jupiter, we wouldn't be here. In fact, you want to see how big Jupiter is? Check this out. There's Jupiter, right? Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. There we are, Earth, Mars, Venus, Mercury. Look at poor Pluto. You know, Pluto's been demoted recently. Did you hear that?
Yeah, it's not a planet anymore. Anyways, let's go back a little. Look how small we are compared to other planets in our solar system. Yet Christians still believe it is logical for a God to create all this for the little you. Does that make any sense? All of this, we're talking billions of planets, still expanding. All of this just for you. Let's keep on going.
You know, Pluto's been demoted recently. Did you hear that? Pluto is no longer a planet, according to scientists. I think it's size discrimination. I mean, here's poor Pluto. What does he take? 252 years to go around the sun, something like that? And we just say, forget about it. Forget about it, you're not a planet. Don't bother. Where do we get off saying that? They think that's cool? Take a look at this.
Yes, it's pretty cool, but like, is this the first time these people are seeing a diagram of the sun, the Earth, Jupiter, and all this? Is this really their first time? You could hear in the background, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, let's keep going.
You can't even see Pluto. Now, this amazing solar system is amazing, but let me ask you a question. How big would our solar system be if we could take our galaxy and shrink it down to the size of the continental United States? Our solar system would be the size of a quarter on the floor in the Nevada desert. A quarter!
Yet you still believe a God created you because you were so important. He created you with love, with love and care. So you can worship him. This is what you believe, Frank. Even with all the evidence showing this would be stupid.
And how many galaxies are out there? According to scientists, billions. How much distance is between stars just in our galaxy? This is another anthropic constant. The amount of distance, the amount of miles between our star, the sun, and another star an average distance away is 30 trillion miles. You say, hey, that's a long way, Frank. How long is that? Let me put it in perspective. The space shuttle, when it's in orbit, goes around the Earth between 17 and 18,000 miles an hour. That's 5 miles a second. You got trouble getting to work in the morning? Take the space shuttle.
You're not funny, man.
You'll be there. I did a little calculation to try and figure out how long would it take us if we can get in the space shuttle at our star, the sun, and go to another star an average distance away, 30 trillion miles. How long would it take us? It would take us 201,450 years, going 5 miles a second. Which means if you had gotten 5 miles...
I'm sorry, just look at that face. Just amazed.
A second. Which means if you had gotten in the space shuttle at the time of Christ, at our star, the sun, and started traveling to another star an average distance away, going 5 miles a second, you'd be less than 100th of the way there right now. The heavens are awesome. And
where did he get the heavens from? So it is used to believe that the heavens are just in the clouds. Before, we learn it's actually not there. It used to be believed that the stars are like decorations in the sky. But they are actual planets and stars and like much bigger than they actually thought it was. Where is the heavens? I thought it's supposed to be up there in the sky. But last I checked, it's not there. We pierced through the sky, got out of the planet. We send rovers to Mars. We sent Voyager 1 into space and he has covered so much miles. And yet, no fucking heaven.
And the heavens are a clue to us as to who God is. In fact, February 1st, 2003, Saturday morning, President of the United States went into the Oval Office. They turned on the TV camera. Every major network carried his address. Saturday morning, looked into the TV camera. He said, "My fellow Americans, our nation this morning has experienced a great tragedy. The space shuttle Columbia, upon re-entry into the atmosphere, burned up in the skies over Texas. There are no survivors." The president then went on to quote from Isaiah chapter 40. Why did he quote from Isaiah chapter 40?
I don't know, but it doesn't really matter.
Because here's what Isaiah chapter 40 says. This is God speaking. "To whom will you compare me, or who is my equal, says the Holy One? Lift your eyes and look."
Yet Christians still think they're persecuted. The president of the fucking United States of America is quoting the Bible. Yet Christians in America thinks they're getting persecuted.
To the heavens, who created all these? He who brings out the starry host one by one and calls them each by name. Because of his great power and mighty strength, not one of them is missing. The president then went on to say, the same God that created all those stars and named all those stars knows the names of the 7 astronauts who perished today.
How did God name the stars? I'm lost for word. So far, nothing about the fingerprint of God.
We can all now pray that they are safely home. You want to know who God is? Remove all limits from your mind. That's God. You want to know who God is? Look to the heavens. What?
But that's not what you're doing, though. You're not even removing all the limits. You're limiting your God to 800,000 word book. That's it. That's what you're giving your God. Your all-powerful, all-knowing God.
What's in the heavens? You know how many stars are in the heavens according to scientists? The number of stars out there are about equivalent to the number of sand grains on all the beaches on all the earth. And to go from one sand grain to another sand grain, going 5 miles a second will take you over 200,000 years. The heavens are awesome. Only God is more awesome. Most of us Christians have the wrong idea who God is. We think God is like our cosmic bellboy. You know, we like go, God, you who, I need help down here.
He still thinks it's funny.
Well, he's there for that, but he doesn't always do things the way we want him to do, does he? The same God that's holding...
That's interesting, isn't it? He doesn't do things the way you want him to do it. So what's the point of praying? He doesn't do things in the way you want him to do it. you still think you have free will? Christians sometimes just surprise me with how they think. Actually, I'm not surprised. I was a Christian, so I'm pretty used to this shit.
And all those stars together and running the entire universe might have something up his sleeve, so to speak, that isn't in your plans, right? He may do things that we don't quite understand because he's infinite and we're finite. Always keep that in mind. Why are you to make no graven image? Commandment 2. Because any image you make of God necessarily limits his majesty. You can't make anything that represents God.
You just limit him by calling him M, which is referring to a gender. Because you don't know what gender God is. You can't possibly know what gender God is. You're limiting God by referring to a gender. You're limiting God by referring to, by saying his majesty. Because that's a human language. By using an human language to describe your God, you are limiting your God. Calling him and referring to him as M or as a male gender is limiting your God. Referring to him as His Majesty is limiting your God. That is exactly what you're doing, Frank.
God. Because he's completely out of this world. The closest thing we know about it that was in this world is Jesus Christ himself. We saw him in his human form.
That doesn't make any sense.
We saw Jesus in his human nature, but he had a divine nature as well.
And no, we did not see Jesus. You did not see Jesus, Frank. And the Bible is not the best. Well, the Bible is the best we have, which shows how little we fucking have.
Not only is the universe amazing, but so are you. You know what this is? This is a one-celled amoeba. This is the amoeba that the Darwinists say we all evolved from. You heard of the theory of macroevolution? From the goo to you via the zoo? This is the goo. Or from the infantile to the reptile.
Okay, Frank.
To the crocodile to the gentile. This is the infantile.
Evolution at this point is a fact. There's evidence for it. That is more than what your Bible can ever give.
Now, in Darwin's day, that amoeba was thought to be a very simple, simplistic little blob of protoplasm. Wasn't anything too complicated. Maybe it could have come together by natural forces. Today, we know otherwise. How do we know otherwise? Well, in order for me to explain it to you, let me take you to your breakfast table. How many people in here like alphabet cereal? You like alphabet cereal? Let's suppose you're a kid. You want to have a bowl of alphabet cereal? You come downstairs one morning to have a bowl of alphabet cereal.
I was so confused for a second, and then I look at the title. It's Intelligent Design. This makes sense. I've heard this before.
Get to the kitchen, you see the alphabet cereal's knocked over, not the placemat, the letter spelled, take out the garbage. Mom.
He's not funny, guys.
What are you going to assume? The cat knocked the box over? Earthquake shook the house? No, you're going to say that's intelligent design from an intelligent being. Mom. Right? Or let's suppose you lay it.
You can infer that because letters are man-made. It was signed by mom. You can infer that is from your mom and not from a cat knocking it on the ground. Because your mom signed it. The letter is man-made, meaning the way it was arranged has to be from a human intelligence or something we made that recognize our letters, like an AI or something. You wouldn't say it's an earthquake because it's more likely to be your mom. We go with what is more likely. It's an inference. You don't know for sure what it is, but you're making an inference saying it's most likely that this is from mom, from what I can observe. Let's see where it's going with here.
Get out on the beach one day and you look up in the clouds and you see drink Coke. What do you assume? Unusual cloud formation? Wind coming from the north?
I believe I've seen faces in the clouds, words in clouds, a teddy bear. Yeah, we all see this shit in the cloud, like. But drink Coke and a plane flies by. You could tell that it's a plane making the. Frank, oh my god, I was so impressed. In the first video, it made some sense. Now it's just downright stupid.
You're laying out on the beach one day and you look up in the clouds.
Also, I'm not calling him stupid. I'm saying his argument is downright stupid. I'm not attacking his intelligence. I'm just saying his argument is stupid.
And you see drink Coke. What do you assume? Unusual cloud formation? Wind coming from the north? Oh, it's cloud evolution. No, you immediately go, I don't see a skywriter up there, but there had to be cloud evolution.
Did you guys caught that? This is the same clip from the other video. Now I'm not even sure if the laugh or like for real.
Being natural laws don't make messages like that. Well, natural laws don't make messages like that, and I hate to tell our evolutionist friends this, but they don't make messages like DNA equal either. DNA.
Frank is going into a range that is way out of his expertise. But let's just see him fail, I guess.
Is a 4-letter genetic alphabet that every living thing has. You have DNA, I have DNA.
He said alphabet. We made alphabet. Not God, not the universe. Well, in a sense, technically the universe, because the universe made us, so we made alphabet. But alphabet is a man-made thing. Without humans, the alphabet they don't mean anything. We made languages.
A banana has DNA. And DNA can communicate information much like the English alphabet can communicate information. It only has 4 letters. The English alphabet has 26, but it can communicate information. And it communicates an incredible amount of information. It communicates information just like take out the garbage mom. But it's a lot more complicated than that. The question is, how much information in DNA is in a one-celled amoeba? What I'm about to tell you is not from a Christian. What I'm about to tell you is from Richard Dawkins.
The classic, I'm going to quote an atheist, wrong, and then make it seem like I'm right. I haven't even heard the quote. I could tell he's going to quote them wrong.
The most vociferous, ardent evolutionists out there. The man who wrote The God Delusion. Well, in his previous book, The Blind Watchmaker, Richard Dawkins admits that the amount of information in a simple amoeba, so-called simple, is about equivalent to 1,000 complete sets of Encyclopedia Britannica. 1,000 complete sets of Encyclopedia Britannica. I don't have enough faith to believe that that resulted by natural law. I mean, to believe that that resulted by natural.
What information are you getting from the DNA? What is God telling you from DNA? You said it's a language, like take out the garbage mom, but more complex. What exactly is God telling you by looking at a DNA sample? I want to know, Frank.
Natural law is like believing that the Library of Congress resulted from an explosion in a printing shop.
Not funny, man.
I don't have enough faith to believe that. It takes more faith to be an atheist than...
You don't need fucking faith, because there's evidence for this. Faith is something you need when there's no evidence. I don't need faith to believe in gravity. There's evidence for gravity. We can test it. I don't need faith to believe in oxygen. We can test that too. These things exist. You don't need faith. You need faith to believe in your God, who we have no idea whether it is true, but most of the evidence that we have does not point to him. There's no need for faith to be an atheist. Atheists just say, is there a God? I don't think so. That's what an atheist is.
To be a Christian. The first life requires an intelligent cause, and all subsequent life requires an intelligent cause too. I don't have enough time to get into how incredible you are.
You don't have enough time because you don't even know what you're talking about, Frank. You don't. You don't.
You know how many cells you have in your little toe, for example? Give you a visual. Just look at your little toe, ladies. Your little itty bitty toe. You know how many cells are in there? The number of cells in your little toe are about equivalent to a house, say a 3,000 square foot house, filled from floor to ceiling with little baby peas. Each pea representing a cell. You know how much information is in each cell? 25,200 page books. In every
random
cell.
Word
I don't have enough faith
alphabets.
that
A random word of alphabets. Oh my God. It's like DNA comes with letters on them, Frank. That's how it works. We assign letters to this, to each one of them, so we could interpret them better. Now, I'm not a biologist, and I still struggle to understand most scientific things. But evolution makes sense. It makes better sense than Christianity altogether. And there's evidence backing it.
resulted by natural law.
We're going to the last one.
Let's start with the beginning argument, the cosmological argument. And this is the argument that many say is the argument that points to the Big Bang. You say, well, Frank, you know, we're Christians. We don't believe in the Big Bang. You guys don't believe in the Big Bang? I believe in the Big Bang. I just know who banged it.
Pause. What the fuck?
The evidence for the Big Bang is pretty good. Some of the evidence I'm about to show you. In fact, I'm going to show it to you in an acronym, SURGE, S-U-R-G-E.
He agrees with the Big Bang, but he doesn't think evolution is a thing. That's just interesting, I guess.
And I'm just going to list them here. I don't have time to get into it, but the first argument that the universe had a beginning is from the second law of thermodynamics. That's the S. The U is the fact that the universe is expanding. The R is the radiation afterglow discovered by Penzias and Wilson, two scientists who were actually working out of Homedale, New Jersey, Bell Labs in Homedale, New Jersey in 1965, found the radiation afterglow for the initial Big Bang explosion.
The way Frank thinks he's so smart is so funny. Keep going.
Explosion. The G stands for the great galaxy seeds discovered by the Kobe space satellite in 1992. And E stands for Einstein's theory of general relativity. Those 5 lines of scientific evidence are having most scientists admitting, you know what? The universe exploded into being out of nothing. Now, I don't have time to get into why this proves that. It's all in the book, chapter 3, so get the book. Makes a great Christmas present, by the way. Christmas is coming, you know.
Of course, he had to advertise his book. Frank and his book.
But I just want to point out that most scientists are coming to the conclusion, yes, the universe exploded into being out of nothing. What is nothing? Aristotle had a good definition of nothing. He said, nothing is what rocks dream about.
Do you see what I mean when I said Frank just apologetics in general? You scientists or scientists claim and whatever they find when it benefits them. And when they actually find things that go against their religion and their beliefs, they just throw them under the bus. Now is making fun of scientists, when most of them agree that we most likely the universe came from nothing. Before the universe all came together through the Big Bang, we don't know what was. You can't just put your God there. That is the God of the gaps. Ha ha ha.
That's where the universe came from. Nothing. What rocks dream about. Then this entire space-time continuum leapt into existence. Some say, well, why couldn't natural law have created the universe or been responsible for the universe?
I want to hear his evidence for his God. Let's see if the evidence for his God actually let's observe.
Because there was no natural law. Natural law itself came into existence at the Big Bang. There was nothing. And then the universe exploded into being. What do I mean by nothing? No time, no space, no matter. Nothing. And then
So I don't think the Big Bang was an actual explosion. But let's keep going.
And bang, it all leapt into existence. So if it's not something inside of nature, because nature itself was created at the Big Bang, it must be something outside of nature. So if it's not a natural cause that caused it, it must be a supernatural cause.
Says who? How did you come to this conclusion, Frank? You can't just say because it's outside of space time because they came together at the same time. It must be supernatural. It has to be a supernatural thing that happened. And by the way, the supernatural thing that happened is my God. He made a bang that is banging the Big Bang. The universe is banged by God. You're not making any sense, Frank. God.
And that cause must be immaterial. Why? Because it created material. Must be timeless. Why? Because it created time. Must be powerful. Why? Because it created out of nothing. Must be immaterial and spaceless. Because it created space.
You're describing nothing. Timeless, immaterial, spaceless. It's nothing. It's nothing. So
Space. Starting to get the idea that this is the God we're talking about from the Bible.
no, there's no idea. There's no idea. Okay, Frank. There's no idea here.
Right? In fact, Einstein's theory of general relativity has been proven accurate to 5 decimal points. That's the E in surge. In fact, Einstein for a long while didn't want to believe the universe had a beginning. He actually put a fudge factor in his equations when he first figured out general relativity because he didn't like where it was heading. It was heading toward a creator. He didn't like that. He wanted the universe to be eternal.
I don't think that's why. I don't think he had a beef with Christians. I don't think that's why, Frank. But okay, whatever you say. Einstein wasn't perfect. Nobody is perfect. He made mistake. He is a human being.
He put a fudge factor into his equations to keep the universe from expanding, but then Edwin Hubble was out at Mount Wilson in California. He said, yo, Al, why don't you come out to my telescope here in Mount Wilson, and you can look through the telescope and see the redshift in the light to see that all those galaxies out there are moving away from us. Which implies that if we could watch the universe in reverse, we would see everything collapse back to a point of nothing. Al went out there, he looked through the telescope, and he went, uh-oh. I made a big mistake. He said, the greatest professional mistake in my life was putting the cosmological constant into my equation. You know what the cosmological constant was, by the way? To do his cosmological constant, the great Einstein had to divide by 0. Ooh, second graders are going, ow! You don't divide by 0. That's right. But the great Einstein did. He repented of the cosmological constant, and Einstein went on to say,
Einstein is a physicist, so he's pretty good at math. If he's trying to divide by 0, well, go ahead. I'm not a mathematician or that good at math. I believe I was good at math until I got to pre-calc, and it fucked me up.
I don't care about the details. What I'm looking for now is the mind of God. He wanted to find out the mind of God. Now, to our knowledge, Einstein never became a Christian. His theory seemed to show that the universe exploded into being out of nothing, which would point to a theistic God, but for some reason, Einstein believed in a pantheistic God, a God that is everything rather than created everything.
What? How would that point to your God?
But his evidence pointed to the fact that the universe had a beginning and exploded into being out of nothing. Now, what would Einstein do if he were here today and you were to say to him that the universe did not have a beginning? Well, he'd probably do this.
So because the universe came out of nothing, I believe he has to be my God because he is eternal, is timeless, spaceless, basically nothing, but it is somehow personal, which I don't know where the fuck he get that from. You're not making any sense, Frank. No evidence was presented. He just made a bunch of claims upon claims and upon claims. Frank is really terrible at what he does. The fact that the universe is big does not point to your God. The fact that evolution is a fact does not point to your God. The fact that the universe is expanding does not point to your God. The fact that the universe, our most likely explanation is that it came from a big bang and time, space, matter all come into one existence at the same time, does not prove your God. You actually have to try, Frank. This is just sad. It seems like people actually believe what he says and like take it at a face value. Like he presents the president quoting the Bible. That doesn't make the Bible true. He just put bunch of stuff in the PowerPoint. Nothing of substance. This is just full on BS. Many atheist YouTubers have called Frank out on his BS. But I actually want to call him out on every single one of his videos. I hope I'm able to do that. Or just his popular videos. The one that I find interesting enough. I don't think people focus enough on someone like Frank. It is time that change. Black Bear Atheist is here, and I'm gonna make sure to shed some light on why this guy is terrible at what he does not know what he's saying, and is just simply BSing every single thing. That's it for today. If you like the video, like and subscribe, and see you next time.